I want to give you a little preview of what you're going to learn. We're going to talk about how to buy houses for less than 70% of repairs. So first, let's talk about what that 70% less repairs looks like. So 70% minus repairs, that's 70% of ARV. What does that mean? Well, let's do this. Let's do a little math for you guys. Let's say the house is worth $100,000. Well, if the house is all fixed up and worth $100,000, that's known as after repaired value, $100,000. If we're going to buy for 70% less repairs, that means 70% of $100,000. And what is that number? That's $70,000, right? So $70,000. You've got to be all in on this $100,000 product or project for less than $70,000. So how do you do that? Well, another question I get is, hey Jason, where do the repairs come into play? So let's say we've got $20K in repairs. Well, we need to take $20K from 70, that's $50,000. The most I can pay for this house is $50,000, the absolute most. I can't pay any more than that. Now let's talk about why. When you go to buy a house, remember when you sell this house, you're selling it for $100,000, right? $100K. When you sell a house for $100,000, do you put $100,000 in your pocket? No, typically you've got about 10% in closing costs. Usually 6% to a realtor and 2.5% for title costs, title insurance, wire fees, all that stuff. And then there's usually another 1.5% for what we call the negotiation after the sale. If you've ever sold a house before, the next thing let's say you put that property under contract to sell. The next thing that happens is the buyer will have an inspection done on the property. And you'll inevitably end up having to make some repairs or give up some money in concessions. And that's what we budget that 1.5% for. So this all gives you a total of about 10%. So when you sell a house for $100,000, the most you're going to get is $90,000. 90 grand. Well, that's not bad, right? Well, hold on. That's not just the only cost that you've gotten doing this business. You've also got holding costs. Let's say it took 6 months after you purchased the property to rehab it, put it back on the market, and then somebody from the marketplace buys that house, and then you've got closing. It could take you 6 months before you sell that house. So what's it cost for you to hold a $90,000 house for 6 months? Well, we budget about 1.5% of the ARV per month in holding costs. So that's about $1,500 a month times what? 6. So if you guys are doing the math pretty quick here, that's what 6 would be 6,000. 6 times, so that'd be $9,000. So we'll take 9K from here. That gives us $81,000. What's 81K into 100? That's 81%, right? So we're getting pretty close to our 70% less repairs. All right, so we've got holding costs here. We've got our cost to transfer the property. But what we don't have here is what? We don't have repairs. So our repairs were what? $20,000? So now you're down to $61,000. What do we not have in this equation? We don't have any profit. I mean, if you want to say make 10%, we don't recommend 10%. I think you got to have more margin in it. But let's say you're going to make 10% of $100,000. That's 10K, right? So now we're down to $51,000, which is what? About 70% of ARV less repairs. Remember, it's a $20,000 rehab. House is worth $100,000. 70% of 100 is 70 grand. The rehab is $20,000. The most I can pay for that house is $50K. But Jason, some guru's teaching me how to buy houses at 85%. Yeah, that's a great way to go broke. It's a great way to go into bankruptcy. You really can't pay more than $50K for this deal. 51, you can do that. That's a little more than 70%. But this is what we're going to teach you guys on Thursday night, how to buy houses for 70% less repairs. Because anything more than that, and you're not making any money in this business. Thanks for listening.